The Portland Trailblazers are 3 games into Summer League action in Las Vegas. They are 2-1, and we've gotten to see a lot of rookie Donovan Clingan. We're going to talk about all that and more here on the Blazer Focus podcast. I'm Aaron Fentress. He is Craig Birnbach. It is early in the morning on a Wednesday, right? Yeah, so
it is.
So I got some coffee in front of me. I'm trying to wake up. Craig's got fun stuff to do today, so he made me get up really early to do this. So I could be off the rails more so than usual. But I'm happy to talk to him.
I don't drink coffee. I hate coffee.
I used to hate coffee until I discovered the power of it.
Yeah, man, it's hot dirt water. You literally run hot water through dirt and drink it. Like, no, thank you.
Come on, we don't need to call it that right now. See, I doctored mine up with vanilla cream to make it not taste like dirt.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you know what I drink? Hot chocolate, delicious.
It doesn't perk you up though.
I don't. No one's asked me to. No one's ever said Craig needs to perk up. It's the reverse.
Well, as I said, the Blazers are 2-1, which means they're still alive for the Final Four playoff berth.
Get the banner ready, baby.
They can get the 3-1 and let the point differential, which right now they're +2, so they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But regardless, they're at least winning games. But more importantly than anything, obviously, is Donovan Clingan, the 7th pick in the draft. The Blazers are very high on him, and we're going to talk about whether they're high for being high on him. No, I'm just kidding. 3 games into your Summer League career, what does it mean? I mean, it doesn't mean a ton. Clearly, he's been killing it on the glass with 13, 14 rebounds per game, 4 block
leading
shots
the league
per game. Yeah, he's definitely a defensive presence in the middle, protecting the rim, which is what they bragged about him being able to do. Offense not there so much. We'll talk a lot about that. But just your overall first impressions of Mr. Clingan 3 games into his Summer League debut.
Pretty good. I think defensively he is what we expected in a Summer League action. He's huge. He's huge. Like, when you're looking at Summer League, there aren't a ton of centers out there anyway. And the ones that are out there usually weigh a lot less than they're gonna be good in the NBA. So he looks bigger than everyone at 7'2" and whatever he is. But he is he's a force. Athletically, it is amazing even how you could tell the differences. When you watched him in college, he looked super athletic. Right. You watch him in Summer League, he looks athletic, but not like super athletic. You see he's a little slow, where those are not things that you saw as much. Obviously scouts do, and obviously there's a difference, but it is amazing even that step up to Summer League. You're like, oh, he's a step slow. He did not get there, in time. And but right. What I've really liked is the small things on defense, getting out and deflecting / blocking 3-pointers. Mm-hmm. Like, that's impressive. The 5-second call, it was the second Summer League game. They're up, 1 with a few seconds left. He jumped around. Man. Like, this is the 7th game in the finals. Like, you're not getting this ball in.
That was inside 5. That was about 5 seconds to go, right?
Yeah, no, that was it. They 5 second, and it was a game winning Summer League 5-second call. But
he was excited about it too. He was excited because he talked about it. We worked on it. He said we worked on it a lot in practice, but I wasn't being given the 5-second call when I thought I should have been. Basically, he felt like he's getting robbed. In practice, they want him to get a 7-second call. It sounded like, but I
just love that attitude.
But he got in the game.
I love the fact that he was jumping around like that's a competitor. Right. This is a guy that's all he's done is win championships. He doesn't know what losing is, which he's going to learn.
He's about to find out.
Right. But that's the kind of players you want. You want guys with edge, right? And not every talented person has that. And that is the thing that you get when you draft a guy that played 2 years of college basketball that won 2 national championships. That's not what you get when you draft even a Scoot Henderson, who left high school and played in the G League, where no one cares if you win or lose. Right. No one even cares about your statistics, right? So Scoot now has played multiple years of results not mattering at all. Donovan Clingan has never played a game really where it didn't matter.
Right.
I don't want to say never, but you know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
guy puts on the uniform. He's like, I'm winning. And you see that in the summer league trying to get a 5-second violation. You're like,
Right.
well, that cannot hurt you. That cannot hurt you. And that's the kind of thing that drives players to get better. So defensively, I liked a lot what I saw. Not facing off against, Jokic's of the world.
Right.
And that's going to be a different thing. So I thought some of the social media got a little crazy, like about how great he is defensively. And I'm like, well, let's just remember these are glorified practices against 95% of these guys are not going to get significant minutes in the NBA. So
Right.
you're not playing against good players, but nothing made me feel like, oh crap, on the defensive end. The offensive end, you're like, I looked at last week's rundown, and Aaron, you wrote, Billups says that Clingan can shoot the three. Let's see. Well, we saw. So far, not so good.
Yeah, and I thought about this last night. Um, he's 1 for. Hold on, I'm calling up the stats right here. So 3-point field goal percentage, he is shooting 16.7%. He's one. He's
Yeah, he made one.
1 for 6. He's 1 for 6. But the thing about being 1 for 6, like if on Friday he makes 3 of 4, now he's shooting 37, 38%. Everyone's happy. So those 1 for 6 is not fair to judge.
But you saw him shoot the 6. You don't think he's going to go 3 for 4.
Well, it's going to take time for him to become comfortable enough to score with
which
that,
is fine.
With that release. Is that what you're talking about, his release?
And now
the release.
But now he's 7'2", Noah's blocking it. It just takes a long time to get it loaded up. It's like a catapult. You're like, But Myers Leonard, who ended up being a good 3-point shooter, it took him a long time. But when you're that tall, and they kind of don't care if you shoot it, you're going to get it. But again, it's game 3 of summer league, right? I mean, the guy wasn't firing off threes in his high school and college career, so in games.
Right.
So
we have to be fair and give him time. But my thing is, though, so here's my thing, and this is completely nitpicking, but it's the summer league, so let's just nitpick. They spent some time. They went out of their way to tell us, oh, he has a much better offensive game than what was on display at UConn, because at UConn he had to sacrifice his offense to win, right? So, and I'm not saying that's not the case, but to me, summer league is a perfect place to unleash that. The games don't matter. You're the most important player on the floor. Why isn't he getting as many shots as humanly possible? Why isn't he posting up? Why isn't he doing more things offensively? He's averaging 10 attempts a game. He's shooting 28%. I just wanted to see more of him offensively. That said, I'm sure they have a legitimate plan for his development, and that maybe feeding him a bunch of shots isn't the way to go. But I just wanted to see.
And the guards aren't good.
Huh?
What? And the guards aren't that good. He's not playing with, guys that might not have get on the ball.
Like last year. Yeah. So, that's more me and what I wanted to see. And it's probably completely unrealistic. But, the defensive presence is legit. And here's the main thing I liked. I swear. And maybe I think sometimes when you're exposed to something too much, you start seeing things you maybe don't want to see. But watching so much NBA, there's so many rebounds that are completely uncontested, right? Because hardly anyone's in the paint anymore because everyone's spread out. And then a lot of times people don't really fight for rebounds. Donovan Clingan fights for rebounds. Donovan Clingan is down there trying to get position, bang bodies a little bit, slip between people, under people, around people to try and get rebounds. I love that. And the Blazers definitely need that. So that's good. And then, yes, the rim protection. He's a deterrent down there. He's making people rethink their shot. And he's
huge.
Shots. Yeah, he's swatting shots when they don't rethink their shot. And he just completely demolished and destroyed Sarr on a play where Sarr tried to go into the paint and shoot like he was, shooting over a 6'5" guy, and he forgot who he was dealing with, and Clingan completely rejected him. So that's all good to see. And that's, those are two things that they need. They need someone who's going to be a rebound first center, and they need someone who's going to block shots and protect the rim, because Ayton doesn't always do that. But what does that mean what does that mean 3 years from now? 3 years from now, if he's not producing offensively, he's going to be Nurkic. But Nurkic scored
Yeah,
some nights, right? So I'm
yeah,
just saying that people are going to be frustrated. Well, he can't. We have a center who can't score because teams are going to dare him to shoot, right? Good NBA teams are going to dare him to shoot, and he's going to have to be able to be a threat there, or people are going to be frustrated down the line. Right now, it's all, hey, we got this new guy, it's exciting, look at him block shots, rebounding, blah, blah, blah. But when you get into NBA games 3 years from now and you're trying to win, if that's all you have down there, it's going to be a problem, I think.
yeah. Absolutely. The modern NBA doesn't let you hide a center like it used to. That scored 6 points a game on 3 putbacks. I will say he sets a heck of a pick. He's out
Yep.
there. What his 3 years from now, what his body looks like matters, right? All
Right.
these things matter. It's just too hard to project that. The attitude that we're talking about, though, that's good. I mean, that's a guy that's going to, the guy that we've seen wants to win so badly, he's jumping around, uh, trying to stop an inbounds in a second game of the summer league, right? That's not the guy that doesn't get up early and hit the weights. That's not the guy that doesn't work on a hook shot. It's not the guy that doesn't work on the 3-pointer. So sometimes talent is limited, but effort gets you over a lot of those limits when you're as physically gifted as some of these players are. We know it's not always that. Like people are always like, well, just try harder. Some guys just it's just not there. It's hard to be in the 1% of the 1% talent wise, and sometimes there's a limit. But what we've seen in this short period of time and in college says that's why he was a 7th overall pick. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Like, oh, okay, that's why he was a 7th round pick. That's what we've seen in summer league. I get that. Oh, that's why he wasn't the number 1 overall pick with ease, because he got no offense. Like if Clingan had any offense or the upside on offense that people see in a guy, Sarr, who went 0 for 15 yesterday,
Yeah.
just to give you the other end of things, who also obviously is people say is not ready offensively, but people see the possibilities more. He would have been the number 1 overall pick. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm feeling very solid about what I've seen, and he's likable because he plays hard. Like he's likable. And I'll say, like, he came through the lane on that one dunk, and he didn't look goofy. For a 7'2" guy, when they fly through the lane, sometimes you're like, oh. But again, Myers Leonard didn't look goofy when he did that. And I don't mean to hate on Myers Leonard. He
Yeah.
actually he figured out a way to make it in the NBA. Made a terrible mistake that was really awful, and so many injuries that his career stopped when it stopped. But and because he was a lottery pick, there was a lot of expected from him. But I'm just saying, like, that's what we've seen, like in a comparable type body. Myers was 7'1", but that's a great example of a guy that worked so hard on his body. Work ethic was not Myers Leonard's problem. You know what I mean? Like, that's not it. Edge was, and Clingan seems to have edge. But it's easier to have edge when you're 7'1" and you're playing in the summer league than it is when you're going up against some of the best players in the world. So, what else did you see, though? What if we move on from Clingan? Anything else? It's summer league, as we said.
One other thing for Clingan, he showed out sometimes as a passer.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yep. He sees the court.
He made some backdoor passes.
Cutters, man. Cutting. He sees the cutters.
He's looking, and that's a skill that Nurkic definitely had. So that was good to see too. So at least there, if you're not getting the scoring, at least you have a big man who can see. The ball gets to him. He's going to do something positive with it, even if it's not necessarily putting it into the basket. But I thought that was a positive sign. And I think at the end of the day, I think we can agree on this. I think his floor is that he's going to be a defensive-minded, shot-blocking, hardworking, high-energy presence that would pretty much make him a one-dimensional role-playing center. But you just hope that if he can develop his offense enough to be at least a threat there, then you have a legitimate starter. If not, then maybe he's a role playing big who doesn't fully play starter minutes and you have to juggle him with some. I don't know. But I just, for the sake of the franchise, like you just want to see him pop on offense so that you can say, oh, we have a legitimate two-way center moving forward to run with Scoot and Sharp. And we'll see. But at least the passing was nice to see. All right.
Yeah.
You asked me
And the
about
other
rest.
thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing is health, right? That's the key with him. Because, to me, if you draft 7th overall in a draft like this and you get a guy that is a contributor, I'm not going to be upset with it. Like, you weren't – people don't even know if there's one home run in this draft. Of course, we know there will be. But so I guess I'm just it's interesting how we don't think about him. Sharp's at Summer League sitting there, right? They're both drafted in the same spot. My brain is not in the same spot with these two guys. My expectation for Sharp and what the Blazers need for that pick, for it not to be a mistake, and what I see with Clingan, they're just different. To me, Sharp's got to be a star, and Clingan doesn't. And that just goes to show how the NBA and just professional sports can ebb and flow based on draft talent and the year. They're both seventh overall picks, but your brain's not thinking. You've been saying all the time, Sharp's got to be an all-star. You haven't muttered. Right. You'd be like, if Clingan can be a starter, like that'd be great.
Starter.
But that's where they are.
He's leading at 12.3 in blocks, leading Summer League at 4.3. 12 rebounds. I think 4.3 blocks. I think it's leading. I'm not sure rebounds.
He is playing 25 minutes a game. There's not a lot of bigs playing 25 minutes a game in Summer League. So, but yeah, that guy's going to get. If you play him 20 minutes a game, that dude's getting 20. That dude's getting 10 rebounds in any game he plays because he's huge. Yeah. Centers that play 25 minutes a game, they better get you 10 rebounds a game in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, because if not, your team's gonna get killed.
So here's what's interesting. So we remember Hassan Whiteside was here, right? And he led the league.
Guy could get stats.
He led the league in rebounds and blocks, and the Blazers didn't even try and bring him back on a minimum.
Nobody wanted him though.
Sacramento took him on a minimum, and then he was out the league after. Yes, I think right. Then look at someone like Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond came in the league and was putting up 16, 15, 13, I'm looking at it right now, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then because he can't shoot, he became not startable, right? For a good team, pretty much. And he's been bouncing around the league ever since. He was with my Bulls last year. In 17 minutes per game, he averaged 8 points,
he can rebound.
9 rebounds. And the
Dude can rebound.
And the Bulls are not bringing him back. And so that's why I wonder about someone like Clingan. Like, you have to develop offensively, or you're just going to be maybe a smarter, harder working Whiteside. But Drummond works his butt off when he plays. So that's the only danger, right? Because if that happens, if he ends up being like that kind of guy, fans ultimately are probably going to be frustrated because they're going to see the weaknesses and see him get exposed. Now, we talked about this last week. If the league is shifting to where having more of a old school traditional center and things are getting more physical, if the league is shifting back that way, which it looked like it was a little bit the last 2 months, then maybe the impact isn't as bad if he doesn't develop offensively. But still, that's my only concern. But it's way too early to pass too much judgment.
Well, I agree with that. There's different things with Whiteside. Nobody talked about his winning attitude or his.
Yeah, no, he was horrible.
Yeah,
that's what. So I started covering them in the bubble, and he was backing up Nurk because Nurk came back. But that was the year he put up those big stats when Nurk was out the whole year, right? Because he broke his leg the previous year. And so I remember talking to Joe Freeman, who had covered them prior, and he's like, "Oh, Whiteside's the worst." I'm like, "Why? He's killing it. He's average." He goes, "Dude, trust me. They don't really like him because he just doesn't. He just, for every block shot he gets, he allows an Ole to the basket because he's out of position, right? Because he doesn't care, doesn't pay attention. Yeah, it's almost like a defensive back who gets 8 interceptions but gives up like 10 head scratching touchdowns, and you're just like, what are you doing? Anyway, okay, you asked what.
So, but I will say one thing about that, Fentress. It does not take much. Hartenstein's a great example. That guy offensively doesn't have a ton. Mm-hmm. He's got a floater. He can shoot a little bit. The Knicks didn't have him do it. And he could get to the rim a little bit, and he just made himself $87 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, and multiple teams wanted him. And he's mostly a defensive-minded center, but he can pass. So it does not take much to get you from Whiteside to Hartenstein. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And Clingan showed a little bit of that. And that's what I was saying. If you could set a good pick and in that pick and roll, if you can do something at the top, if they have to worry about you finding the open man, which Hartenstein was great at finding a cutter or finding a guy on the opposite side and swinging it for a three. The nuance of the center and bringing nothing, which you name two guys that bring nothing, and then Hartenstein, who doesn't bring much, is over $100 million.
Is that what he
which
got?
is not nothing.
Is that what he got?
He got a lot. The Knicks couldn't pay him more than 12 a year. Yeah, Hartenstein, he got, was it 189 million?
Shut up. Wait a minute. I missed
187 million. What did he get? He got a lot of money.
Hold on a second. 3 year 87.
3 years 87. But that's a lot of money.
Still, geez.
It's $100 million less than I said.
That's $29 million a year.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
That dude got $29 million a year.
He got a floater. He got a floater.
He averaged 8 points and 8 rebounds.
Yep, I know it.
Do you remember? Listen to me. I just want 2 years ago, I remember people saying how bad Anthony. Oh, he's got that bad contract. They're never going to be. I'm like, how is $25 million a year for Anthony Simon? What did I say?
You didn't say. You said you started saying half his name.
Oh, okay.
We had a guess.
I get
we had a guess.
I had a guess. Who is Fentress rambling on about? And I remember thinking, okay, isn't this the going rate for what he does? And isn't the salary cap keeps going up? But now guys like Hartenstein are getting $30 million a year, and Anthony's contract looks pretty good. Like I think they could trade that contract pretty easily. But that's crazy to me that guy is getting $30 million a year. I'm not saying
that's the nuance of the NBA, though. People saw a little bit of the Knicks got him for nothing because they saw some things. He could shoot a little bit. He was on 2-3 other teams. I can't remember. A little bit with Cleveland where they let him shoot. 2 years with the Knicks. Year one, like, oh, he's nice. Then year two, Robinson gets hurt. They make a nice run. The guy makes, the Knicks can't offer because of every game he played well. As a Knicks fan, you're like, well, he's not coming back. We can't, because they were capped to only be able to pay him, I think, 12 or so million a year, and the going rate seemed higher. And then it was, they blew the doors off it with that offer. He can't stay, even though he kind of wanted to. And then you'll see, right? Does he take it to the next level? Which clearly they're not paying him to stay at 8-8. So,
but they have scores. Like he's not going to get a ton of opportunities to score.
Right, but he's going to play 35 minutes a game, and if he has, that's what I'm saying. The nuance of being 12 and 10, right, and a good passer is where they're paying him.
His career defensive rating is 108, and even though he doesn't score a lot, his career offensive rating is 127, and it was 136 last year, which speaks to his efficiency within the minutes he plays. Right, shooting 60-something% and being a solid passer.
And he didn't shoot the three last year, but 2 years ago he did. 3 years ago, before the Knicks got him. Not a lot.
He shot 0.4 threes a game, but he shot 47%. Look at his totals.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there was a potential, and everyone thought the Knicks were going to use that, and they clearly told him, no, don't do that.
He took more threes his first year with the Knicks than he did that year with the Clippers. 7 more, but he only shot 21%. 21%.
Right, and he also played a ridiculous more minutes. And then last year he shot like none. They clearly told him, let's put that back in the bag. Like he saved that for somebody in summer. Dude, wild.
But okay, so that.
But he plays with edge too. Right, he plays with edge.
He plays with edge. He plays hard. He rebounds. He blocks shots. He's what Clingan looks like he's going to be, and we'll see if Clingan can be a better offensive player. But clearly, this
is what we call a tangent.
I'm just shocked. I did not see that breaking news from Woj, the Woj bomb or the Shams bomb on that. That's fascinating to me. $30 million a year for that guy. Wow.
Yeah. Woo. Good for him.
And someone like Nurkic is making 17, and people were crying about that. That's a horrible contract. That's chump change. Anyway, all right. So the rest of the team. Okay, so Rupert, second round pick last year. Chris Murray, 23rd pick in the draft last year. Those are the headliner guys, other than Clingan. Rupert averaging 13 points per game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's had some moments like last night. I think he scored 8 points in the third quarter when they built themselves a 6-point lead. He's definitely had some moments, but he's shooting only
33%.
He's shooting well. He's shooting 48% from the field, and
but 33 from three.
33 on three, which it's just fine. He's only taking a few.
He can't shoot yet.
Right.
We saw him in the NBA. Like, even if he shot 55%, I would be like, oh, he's ready. Like, he didn't solve this.
No, but at least he's
2 weeks.
He's shown some growth, I think.
Yeah,
the guy who
he's athletic, man.
Yeah. The guy who hasn't, though, is Chris Murray, which
yeah, man, that stinks.
He's shooting 36%, 27 on three, averaging 9.3 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, which isn't bad, 3 assists. So he's been just okay, and he's 24. He was in college for a long time. He played a lot of NBA minutes last year, a lot of G League minutes. You would hope to see him maybe break out a little bit. But the bottom line for me with him is that he's just not gifted enough to really dominate. I don't think so. He needs to shoot better, but I think he just is what he is. And the idea that that the Blazers had him rated as a lottery pick 2 years ago.
That would have been a bad rating.
Yeah,
bad rating.
As of right now, that's not a very good rating at all. They had a
32 minutes. Yeah, he's playing 32 minutes a game, and when you're watching, you don't know he's playing 32 minutes.
No, he's not. You don't know.
You're like, is Chris Murray out there? Oh, there he is. And that's not what you want from your first round draft pick from 2 years ago, who's 24 years old and playing the summer league.
Right.
Like, I don't care. Take the ball. Don't ever give it up. Like You're a first round draft pick 2 years ago. You're 24. You're 5 years older than some of these guys, and you're averaging 9 points a game, and they're not even good 9 points. There's no moments of athleticism where he's coming down the lane. His three still looks just awful. Like his legs kick out. Like it doesn't look good. You want better. I mean, everyone says all the great things about him. That he's super smart, high basketball IQ, wonderful practice player, great teammate. That's fine, but this is a make or miss league, and he misses too much, and he doesn't do other things. So there is not first round draft picks are supposed to be starters on teams that are bad, especially.
Right.
When you've won 20, when you're averaging 20 something wins for the last 3 years, you expect your first round draft picks to be significant contributors. And in a way, he is protected because everyone's concentrating on the two guys that are drafted in the top 10. That they're not thinking about the guy like, oh, he's drafted in the 20s. Well, it's still a first round draft pick, man. And you're still got a guaranteed contract and you're supposed to contribute. And when you're playing summer league, I mean, they didn't think Scoot should play summer league, but they thought you should, right? So my guess is they're not going there. They can say whatever they want, and they're not saying, well, Chris is really doing what we want in summer league. So I'd love to, like, that's the kind of guy that should score 40,
But but here's the thing. He was the 23rd pick. Like the picks in the 20s, we all know the success rate is not there.
Well, it's summer league, Fentress. He's playing 32 minutes.
Oh, no. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, he's just he does to me he doesn't project out as a starter. So even though we would like to see him look like that, I just don't think he's that guy. So this is who he is. He's a role-playing glue guy who can come off the bench and maybe give you 12, 13, 14 solid minutes. And that's it. And that's why they go out and they give up 2 first-round picks in Brogdon to bring in Denny, because they need a forward because they know Chris Murray's not that guy who's going to be a starter. I think that's blatantly obvious. And so he just is what he is. And I think this just reaffirms that pick is not, it's not going to work out. And remember, they had an opportunity to trade that pick and some other draft capital to go out and get, pieces to put next to Dame, and they didn't do it. And so when you don't do that and you keep that pick and then you brag about how many people wanted Murray and you say he was a lottery talent, and his twin is great. Right, his twin is great, and he doesn't come close to living up to that. that's a negative check mark. And every GM ever is going to have negative check marks. I'm not saying this is an indictment on the staff or anything. These things always happen. But still, it's an asset that, as of right now, is going to be a negative asset. And when you're trying to rebuild, you can't miss too often. And it seems like they missed on that. Again, it's still early. But if he were 21, I don't think we'd be worried about it. But he's 24, right? And so
I'd still be worried. I'd still be worried in Summer League playing this way.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
It's a first-round draft pick who's in his second year, and he doesn't – I don't even know he's on the court in Summer League.
Right.
So – and there's other guys that I do. And even when they're messing up, you're like, okay, he tried, right? He's not aggressive. And you would think that he would be.
There's other guys out there who are making plays that you're like, who's that guy? and you're not
right. And you're like, oh, he's a two-way. He's not it. They have no commitment to him. It's fine. Now you would think they would have told him. I mean, they're playing him 32 minutes. Like they want him to play. They want him to do stuff, right? They're not putting him out there to not be an option on offense. Like you talk about Clingan, they're not running stuff for him. And so you could tell that they're not ready to do that. But with Murray, he's a guy that's supposed to, he could get the rebound, dribble up the court, never look at another player, shoot a three, and you'd be like, yeah, thank you. Good, go ahead. Even if you miss or go hard to the rim, get fouled. You know what they do in Summer League? They foul a lot. So you go get fouled, get aggressive, miss a layup, try to dunk on someone. But, again, we're not in the huddles. We don't know. Maybe they told him, hey, just, do the same thing that you do if you were playing the an NBA game, which is kind of do what you said, like be the glue guy. If you're open, we'll get you the ball, then shoot it. It's just not – there wasn't a lot to look at this team to say, like, yay, this is what I wanted. I wanted Chris Murray to be better because I wanted him to be good because everything else you hear about him is great.
Yeah, definitely. So Justin Minaya, now he's 25 on another two-way deal. I don't believe he has much of a future with the Blazers, but he's lighting it up. 20 minutes a game. He's shooting 65%, 58% on threes, dude. He's 2.3 or 4 per game. Throwing up 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists, and he's doing all that in 20 minutes. He's been way more productive in 12 fewer minutes.
And you've seen him. That's what I mean. When you're watching, you're like, oh, look at Minaya. Like, oh,
exactly.
Go. Try.
Exactly.
Because that guy's playing for a contract somewhere. Right. You know what I mean? Like, he's playing to play. Whether it's with the Blazers, someone else in the NBA, or somewhere else in the world where he wants to, where he wants to play. And it's clear that he knows that. But he's also a guy that's played a lot in these kind of things because he's 25 and he's on the edge. You know what I mean? Like this guy's played a lot of basketball in the quote unquote off season. Chris Murray hasn't had to do that.
Right. Now so Manaya's on a 2-way, and then they signed Bryce McGowan's to a 2-way deal. He was with the Hornets most recently. He's in 20 minutes. He's averaging 16 points per game. Not shooting well though, 36%.
But shooting a lot.
Threes, but he's shooting. Like he looks dynamic. I mean, to your point about Murray, like this is a guy who's played some in the NBA, and he's going out there, and yes, he's not that efficient, which is why he's on a 2-way contract several years into his career. But he's out there being dynamic and trying to make plays, which is what we kind of wanted to see from Chris. But at least, like you said, we know he's there. Right.
And he's like, I'm doing stuff. He gets the ball. He sees these guys. He's like, I'm better. I can beat you. He's not right every time, but he's trying. And it's not always his fault, right? Like sometimes he's trying to run something and the rest of the team's not doing it. He's like, I'm going to have to shoot this. This isn't what I expected. Or a pick here would have been nice, or something like, you don't know, but he's being aggressive and he's shown that he's not afraid of it, and he thinks he's better than Summer League. Like he thinks he's an NBA player.
Right.
And look, we know that Summer League's about contracts, and it's not always NBA contracts.
Right.
So there's other guys looking at this video all over the world and there are 7-figure contracts out there. And a lot of 6-figure contracts out there for guys that they would rather do that than play the G League, where you don't make that much. And the guys that weren't drafted and don't have the reason why they developed the 2-ways is because they needed a way to say, okay, don't go to Europe, please. Please don't. I know you can make a lot more there, but it's harder for us to get you back. And that used to happen, as you well know. They'd sign guys
Yeah.
from Greece, and they'd come in, and there's a reason why the G League is, because there was no minor leagues, there was no pool. So, but there's a lot of guys that could be G League guys that are making more money somewhere else.
Right. And one thing that McGowan's did great last night, he was only 4 for 11, 1 of 6 on threes, but he was 10 for 11 at the free throw line and finished with
Because they
19
foul.
points.
I'm
I'm
get
just saying,
10.
No, but I'm
You get
just
10
saying
fouls.
he was going out there trying to make
Yes.
things happen
Yes.
and he drew fouls, which is what a veteran, smart player does. He recognizes
And
these
the
guys will hack me.
and the
I can
refs
make
in
a
summer
move.
league call fouls. Like sometimes you're like, come on, man, it's summer league.
Hey, they were 25 for 32 last night from the free throw line compared to 14 for 22 for the Hornets.
Yeah.
That's why they won that game, because they got crushed in every other statistic almost. like points in the paint was they won points in the paint, but they lost on second chance points and fast break points. Anyway, all right, that's it for the Blazers right now. Right, we'll come back and talk about them after the summer league is over. But real quick, let's talk about the TV contract. You had some things to say about that, right? The new NBA TV contract details came out.
Yeah, well, it's not done yet. There's still no one knows when TNT can match or not match. But right now, TNT's on the out. Their contract says they have 5 days to match or some kind of day contract. And everyone cares about that because we all love, we all want to see Shaq, Kenny, and of course Barkley stay together. But the one thing that was interesting to me is the Knicks owner, Jim Dolan, who hasn't been the best owner in the world, but I'm sure he didn't write this letter on his own. He talked a little bit about the revenue sharing and the overall way the national packages will increase so much and how that'll affect the local markets. And money-wise, it'll help the Blazers overall with some revenue sharing. But local broadcasting gets impacted when you have so many national games, and that means everything for the team business wise. Sponsorships are based on sometimes the local ones don't have the same value when they're on national television as when they're on local television. So it's interesting to see how this gets wrapped up. TNT will have one more year no matter what. People keep getting confused because Barkley keeps saying like goodbye and he's going to retire, and there's still one more year on that. But I think it's something to pay attention to. Obviously, the Blazers broadcasting contracts, been a topic of conversation for a long time, ever since Paul Allen had talked about going. He was ahead of the curve and saying that he was going to go, streaming, and everyone was like, "You're crazy." And he would not have been crazy. He would have been ahead of the curve. Instead, the Blazers have gone. They went with Comcast, which Aaron knows well, didn't last. Once that contract went away from Comcast Sports Northwest, that channel went away. They're on Root now, which is based in Seattle mostly. So just know the national contracts will affect the local contracts, and the local regional networks are holding on by a thread. So it'll just be interesting.
Yeah, the Blazers have been talking about. Well, there's been some chatter, and Bill Oram has. I can't remember if he's written anything about this, but they're looking at different options because the whole thing last year with Root raising the price, or not Root, Comcast raising the prices on the tier that includes the Blazers, which was dirty pool, man. Like as someone who worked for NBC Sports Northwest, which NBC is owned by Comcast, I kind of feel like that was a retaliatory strike for losing the Blazers to Root personally. But something needs to be done there. And so let me ask you this. So if would making it more difficult for teams to score big regionally make it more likely that they might make their product more available? to more people?
So obviously when there's more national games, it's available to more people from all over, right? So, but it means that, when you take a game and you put it on TNT and you take it off the local, that you just killed some revenue for that local broadcasting. The Blazers are a little
Right.
different because they've always owned their broadcasting rights with Blazers Broadcasting. They don't, they sell the packaged goods to the channel. So the channel has had to make the money off the residuals, and they don't get a ton.
Mhm.
What matters is that for a while there, these regional contracts, as you well know, were paying so much to have the privilege of showing the games, hoping that it would increase their overall revenue. It didn't. Right? So these contracts did not make tons of money. For now, the Blazers were different. They sold the rights to Comcast and then kept the broadcasting. So they were selling their own commercials and now they have to pay for it. So there's a cost there. What it does is it makes it less money available for the locals, channels that buy it, or the regionals that buy it. So that's why they're in bankruptcy. There's so many that are in bankruptcy. Sinclair's owned, they bought so many of them up in baseball, and now they're in bankruptcy. So clearly the model that they had did not work. They spent billions to make millions. That doesn't work in business. So that's basically what the letter from Dolan was saying. Like, you can increase the amount that you give to national broadcasting contracts. You squeeze the local, and you don't let us make money on our own. So like in New York, you can't just make New York money. And there's also a huge increase in what they're sharing with the NBA itself, which will get spread, which the NBA wants something closer to the NFL. Remember, the NFL splits everything. So Green Bay and New York, they're getting the same, but they got 17 games. So it's safer for the league as a whole, but it doesn't give a lot of flexibility for local ownership. Now, that might be a good thing for the Blazers because they've struggled there. But for the league itself, it just means there's going to be changes on. Now, in the NFL, if you want to watch, and obviously there's a huge lawsuit here, but you had to pay for an NFL ticket.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, to see your team. If you're right now, you could buy regional packages just to watch your team in the NBA. So it'll be interesting to see how it all squares out and then what the Blazers do.
Okay.
Too early, I think. And we're not experts on this. I just thought it was interesting that we're getting closer and it's still not everyone's happy.
Make the games accessible for everybody. Quit being greedy. Easy for me to say, right? All right, real quick before we sign off, Bronny, what do you think?
I don't care as much as others. I'm not angry about it because it's happened forever. There's been, we were talking before, Mike Piazza was picked by the Dodgers in the 42nd round. There's only 20 rounds in baseball now because the owner of the Dodgers was really good friend. Mike Piazza's dad owned a whole bunch of car dealerships in the Philadelphia area, and he was good friends with Tommy Lasorda. They grew up together, so he drafted his son. Now it worked out. Just yesterday, David Ortiz's son got drafted by the Red Sox in the 19th round. There's 20 rounds in baseball. They don't think he's going to – they threw David Ortiz a bone, who, by the way, is retired. He doesn't even play anymore. So I don't get that mad that –
wait. But is Ortiz's son a 20th round talent, a 19th round talent?
No, bro. They say he is. No, they say he is.
You know for sure?
I don't know for a fact. Okay. I just know this.
What's his name?
No one drafted him in the previous 18.
Well,
David Ortiz.
That doesn't mean
his name is Ortiz.
D'Angelo Ortiz, 19th round. Son.
Dude, trust me.
I'm gonna look
he was
up.
A talent.
Wait. No, I didn't ask you if he was a high-end talent. I said, is he worthy of a 19th round pick?
Probably not.
Okay, but you're guessing.
I'm not. I'm gonna look. The Red Sox picked him in the second to last round. My guess is they didn't have a 20th round pick. And that's why they picked him in the 19th round. My guess is they picked him with the last pick or their second to last pick in a 20-round draft, and they're going to pay him.
Hold on.
I'm just saying this kind of nepotism. Every NBA picker staffs. I mean, how many coaches can we go through whose fathers hired them? I mean, no one freaked out that Chauncey hired his brother. They freaked out when he fired him, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, there's this kind of stuff has happened forever. Coaches have hired their sons forever.
Okay, dude hit 377 with a 467 on base.
Well, you don't know anything. It's high school.
Miami-Dade Community College. He's playing JC.
Yeah, worse.
No, guys get drafted out of JC ball all the time. I'm just saying, like, I don't care. The Lakers made a decision that they thought was the best for their franchise. Okay. Here's my take on this. All right? And it's, as usual, genius. First of all, Bronny's been... See, this is why I like you. I say something like that and you don't laugh. You don't make faces. You don't come at me sideways. You just laugh.
I laugh.
You know, because I'm half messing around. You know I half believe it, but you know I'm half tongue-in-cheek. Okay, so he's been awful. He's shooting 21% from the field.
He's not been good.
He's missed all 11, 12 of his three or whatever. Just bad basketball. And he wasn't good at USC. So
he barely
I don't
played.
believe. Right. I don't believe for a second he was one of the top 60 players coming out, right?
Absolutely.
And they gave him a first-round contract, 4 years, fully guaranteed money, which is ridiculous for a second-round pick, a high second-round pick, let alone the 55th pick. So I believe that everyone's right that there's nepotism involved. I believe everyone's right.
Of course.
Hold on. I think everyone's right that maybe he, quote-unquote, took an opportunity from someone else. That said, I think that's overblown because whomever the person is that got bumped out of the second round got an undrafted free agent contract, and it's probably at Summer League, and it's probably better than Bronny James. And the Lakers can do whatever they want with their draft capital, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, regardless of all of that, if ever there was a player that I would say it's okay to do this for, it would be LeBron, who's still killing it at an age where he could even have a kid be old enough to play with, right? I mean, that's the thing here, right? It's the opportunity to have someone play with their son in an NBA game. I think it's worth rolling the dice on this and seeing if he can develop, or just, throw him out there for some garbage minutes and just let them play. Like, they don't have to start together. They don't have to win a championship together. They can just play some minutes together here and there. And I don't have a problem with it because it's something that I don't think we've ever seen in the NBA, and it's something we might never see because of the logistics involved. Now, in baseball, sometimes baseball players can last long enough in baseball for that to happen, and we saw it with Griffey's, right? When Ken Griffey Jr. played with Ken Griffey Sr., that was awesome. That was fun. That was cool. We all remember.
And let's be clear. Ken Griffey Sr. at that time was taking somebody's spot because he was done.
Right, because he was pretty much done.
Yes.
But he held on.
But they wanted to do that.
And exactly.
There were younger players that were better.
Right. And on the other side, Griffey was clearly one of the greatest prospects of all time, whereas Bronny clearly is not. But still, it was fun watching them two play together. Probably the more famous moment was when Griffey Jr. ran in front of Griffey Sr. and took the fly ball. Griffey Sr.
Awesome.
Looked at him like he was crazy and probably grounded him. But anyway, so I'm cool. Like, I'm totally cool with the sideshow. I'm not even going to call it a circus because I do think it's endearing and kind of cool. And I think you have to hate LeBron to really hate it, right? I think if you just appreciate LeBron for who he is, I think you just want to see it. And Giannis's brother is playing in Milwaukee. That guy has no business being anywhere near an NBA court. And he's playing clearly because Giannis is hooking him up. So it's happening all around us, like you said, in baseball as well. So I'm cool with it, but man, it puts a lot of pressure on the kid. Like, I kind of feel badly for him because he's getting more attention than anyone in Summer League right now. But at the same time, he's also getting paid a lot. And so you can't feel too sorry for him. But anyway, that's my overall take on the whole thing.
Look, like I said, how many coaches hired their sons, which took away an opportunity? And you know what? They don't have physical gifts. Like, maybe they're good coaches, but they're not there yet. And then they get to be NBA head coaches, some of them. I mean, we have so many father-son coaches. that they bring him up and put him on the end of the bench and at 20 years old, 25 years old with having that experience, and no one goes crazy, right? Like I just don't understand. Like we're all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, they let this guy do this when
I think. Go ahead.
It's because it's LeBron, and people just have so much love or hate for him, and there's a lot of hate for LeBron. And I get it that the Lakers and people are like, well, the Lakers should just say that they're doing that. Well, they can't. You can't just say to the kid like, we don't really think you're that good. I mean, he's not dumb. He knows that if his last name wasn't, James, that that he wouldn't have been the second round pick for the Lakers. But again, I don't see it taking away an opportunity. I don't care if the Lakers pay him money. Like they would have paid it to his dad if they could, right? His dad took $2 million less than he could have gotten. So there it is.
Right.
Right. Like there's the money.
I think why people are more triggered by this though is because like the coaching thing happens, businesses, it happens. We all know that. But I think the feeling has always been that what goes on the field, because winning is so important, that there's just a certain level of, okay, you have to be the best to be here. And so if Bronny is not even close to warranting a roster, he's going to end up on the roster, it's just going to look different. But we're seeing it. Like Damian's cousin was on the Blazers for a few years. Giannis's brother said. So it's happened before. And like I said, if anyone should be able to break that, rule, that societal rule that you have to be the best of the best, I'm fine with LeBron doing it, because the fact that he's still a marquee player heading into his 40s is amazing. He has a kid who's he's not me, right? He's not us out there trying to hoot, right? He's at least athletic and quick and can do something, So
I'm hoping, I'm hoping that he develops into a player. I think it'd be great if he ends up being a real player.
But yeah. I'm people not rooting against him.
When Seth Curry, came in the league, people didn't expect him to have almost a 10-year career. That guy, and people thought he was at Liberty and then he went to Duke, and people thought, oh, Duke's only doing that because he's a Curry. He could end up developing. He's still so young. He's played so little basketball. And let's not forget, he almost died.
That's another part. Someone brought that up a few weeks ago, and I'd
the kid have some joy, man. He had a heart attack.
100%.
I mean, I'm just not. I don't care. Yes, he's privileged. Yes, he grew up with crazy money. Yes, his dad's LeBron James. But I don't wish any parent going through what LeBron went through. You don't think he wants his kid closer to him after that happened? Like that's some cynical crap right there. If you don't think that affected him. I mean, his son, he got, had a heart attack on a basketball court at 18 years old. Like, that's scary and awful. And who knows how long this kid will be able to play. I'm just hoping he's healthy. I mean, they say he's okay. You got to trust it. We all know that we've seen situations that have happened where you think kids, guys are okay and they're not. Their heart is a it's really important, and it's scary when it comes to this stuff. So I don't care. I mean, that young kid went through something that I don't wish upon any person. I certainly don't wish it upon a teenager. So I'm just not going to get upset over that kid playing in the G League or practicing with the Lakers.
I agree. I think at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. Like I said, LeBron of all people, but
it's not setting a precedent. Like other teams can't afford it. Hartenstein's son's not going to be on the team. Like you got to.
You got to be pretty great, right? So the other thing about the second round picks,
and
old. The Blazers demonstrated how invaluable, or not invaluable, how unvaluable the second round picks are. They had the 31st pick and traded it to the Knicks for 2 future second round picks, right? And then they traded from 40 back to 52 just to sell 52. And I remember
just not have to pay. Not have to pay for the roster spot.
I'm like, exactly. I asked them what the Blazers like, what else did they get for moving back? Was it just then they sold it? They're like, yeah. So they went from 40 to 52, got nothing for falling back to 52, and then sold the pick to the Warriors.
Nobody wanted these picks in the second round.
So
they were
exactly. So it's like, okay, And like I said, the alleged person who lost an opportunity, that guy got signed as an undrafted. If everything's slotted down because you squeezed Bronny in there, that person's at summer league. He got undrafted rookie free agent. He's either going to ball out and earn a spot or not. And the fact that he was or wasn't drafted is not at the end of the day going to mean anything. God, there was someone. Oh, and remember when Michael Jordan played baseball? I remember being around people like, he's taking a spot from a more different. I'm like, shut up. He ain't taking nobody's spot from nothing. Like, what are you talking about? There's some kid that got cut from if there's a kid that got cut from the AA team to make room for Michael Jordan, that guy's still in the organization, which means you got to go all the way down to rookie league where someone got kicked out, and that kid had a 1 in a gazillion chance of making it, whereas Michael Jordan's a 6'6" athletic freak. He would get the nod over any of those kids anyway. But
we could have a whole podcast on Michael Jordan's baseball career, because let me just say this. Michael Jordan was good at baseball, and people that don't know that are just stupid.
Don't understand.
They haven't looked.
They just hated Jordan. The fact that guy hadn't played baseball since high school and when it's
ridiculous.
Hit 200 in AA was actually pretty impressive. But anyway,
hit home runs, stole bases, threw guys out. Got my best friend who I played second base because he played shortstop. He got drafted. He couldn't hit what Jordan hit in A ball, and he was the best player I ever played with. So, anyone who actually played, played college baseball, Rangers. First year, he did not hit what Jordan did. They asked him back, and he said, "No, I'm going home. I'm done." And I was like, "What do you mean you're done? They're paying you to play baseball." He's like, "Not a lot." And he's like, "I'm not going to make it." He's like, "I know it. I'm not good enough. I'm a utility player. I'm 22 on an A-League team. They're bringing in kids at 16 from the Dominican. They're drafting kids at 18. He's like, "I'm not. I know it."
Right.
And I was like, "But they're paying you to play baseball." But I'm just saying, people that look and see what he did in AA and be like, "Oh, he was terrible," don't know anything.
Right. 100%. All right. That's it for the Blazer Focus Pocket. Man, we got Knicks in there. We got Jordan baseball in there.
July podcast, man. We crushed it.
Exactly. We'll be back to wrap up the Summer League next week. Catch you then.